Well, welcome to another episode of SKC live from the SKC Group's headquarters here in Las Vegas, full service marketing and branding agency, also out of Miami. And I'm actually here today with two amazing people, and actually one of them being a gentleman that I actually looked up to back in my younger photography days, David Mecey.
How you doing, man?
Good
to see you again.
I'm doing great.
Yeah.
And honestly, like literally, I got to at least throw it because you're about to be sidelines for a second. This is going to be a bromance here right now.
Yay!
We have Caramie here.
Yeah.
Amazing. I got the opportunity to meet her a few times through David. But I'm gonna have a bromance moment real quick. But David here, comes from the glamorous world. Every photographer wanted to be a Playboy photographer. And if you're a professional photographer and you're really looking to build up, like that was the cream of the crop. That's the pinnacle. It's like in the tech world, like working for Google, Microsoft, Facebook, like that is like the end, right? Or Amazon, right? Being a Playboy photographer, not only being around the most beautiful women on the planet, but David had the opportunity to do that for a few decades.
Yeah, a little over two. Yeah, about 23, 24 years, including my freelancing. Yeah, a good 24 years.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so I mean, the audience here is going to want to just kind of start rolling right into that. First of all, what made you want to be a photographer? Not only be a photographer, but how did you get the opportunity to work alongside Steven and Arnie and like
and meet Hef and have him look at my photos and stuff like that. Yeah, well, it was actually pretty amazing. I am originally from Texas, as is this lovely young lady here.
Oh my gosh,
we're both from Texas.
Yeah,
interestingly enough, and I grew up in a small town. At the time, it was a small town, about 45,000 people when I lived there back in the 70s. And so I was in a bad motorcycle crash.
Oh, no.
And I couldn't walk for almost a year, about 9 months. And my doctor was an avid photographer at the time. And I was an artist, by the way, when I was growing up, an artist and a musician. Okay. I was going to be a music major in college, but my art was something that I just kind of had. My mom was an artist. So anyway, after this accident, I had all this recuperation to do. I couldn't walk, and I'd go back and see him once a month, and I'd show him my artwork. Well, about the second or third time I saw him, he said, "Why don't you buy a camera instead of making these people sit for you?" And I'm like, "Oh, that's kind of an interesting thought." So after I was walking again, I took some money that I had made on this crash, a little bit, and bought some cameras, started reading everything I could on photography, and self-taught myself photography.
So you're 100% self-taught?
100% self-taught. Never assisted anybody.
I mean, same here, but I mean, I had a little guidance, but wow.
Yeah, and so I started shooting a lot of sports stuff. Living in this town, I was doing things that was sort of abnormal because I was trying to be very forward-thinking and trying to do things that weren't done yet. And so I started photographing night football games in these small town stadiums, which had hardly any lighting. But I had played around with my processing at home and all that because I had a black and white kind of a lab at my house, a dark room. And so I started doing these things, and I started being able to, and I also bought one of the first 300 2.8 lenses that Canon made back in 76, I think it was. And so I had my 300 2.8 lens, and I was out on the sidelines, and I didn't even have to get permission. I just walk out there, and people thought I was like from freaking Sports Illustrated or something.
But I mean, because you had the camera. It's like
I had the
having
camera.
The goods, right?
Yeah, I had the goods.
Yeah.
So I'm taking these pictures. So after I did that, I took them to the Longview News Journal. They're going to love me mentioning that, by the way. To the Longview News Journal, to the sports editor. His name was John Inman. Great guy. And so showed them to him. He goes, "Oh, man, I want you to start stringing for me." And he started sending me to the Dallas Cowboys games. And I started photographing the Dallas Cowboys, and I ended up shooting stuff for the Dallas Cowboys for maybe a year, 2 years. And then after that, though, during that time period, I started photographing my girl buddies, let's call it. I want to say girlfriends because then they're thinking it's my girlfriends, but my girl buddies. And one of them took their clothes off and I'm telling you, this was out of nowhere. Nowhere. She just stripped down.
And you were so disappointed, right?
No, I was freaking out. No, I had never had a girl pose with nudity. And so she took all of her clothes off. She wanted me to photograph that way. And I'm just like, what And I was like, I remember it like it was yesterday.
Wow.
So I took her pictures, gave them to her, and then she literally tells me, can you send these to Playboy? And I'm like, where? I had never seen a Playboy up until that time.
Never.
But I promise you, I had not seen it. I was raised a strict Catholic boy. Here's a number for you. I went to seminary to become a priest when I was 12 years old. I lasted
wow.
I lasted
What a career change.
Yeah, I lasted a month because the boys were really the boys were kind of bullies. Seriously, even that at seminary. Called my mom. I got to come home. So she brought me home, and then the rest is history, as they say.
Wow.
That went out the window, and after I sent the pictures up to Playboy, I got a great letter back saying that they didn't feel that she had what it took to be a playmate, but they enjoyed my work. Please send some more. And I started sending some stuff to them off and on, and then they finally invited me to come to Chicago. And I went to Chicago, and they put me up at the Drake Hotel for a month. And this is like 1980. And then after staying there for a month, the director of photography said, "Hey, would you like to work for us as a staff photographer?" That's how it started.
Wow.
That's incredible.
And the rest of it's all history. And then I started traveling the world photographing beautiful women. And it's been one of those things that was like an innate sense about doing that too. I think a lot of it was due to my personality and how I relate to the women. And this is something Caramie can probably bring along too and add to. I'm very comfortable around them. I try to make them feel as relaxed as possible. There's no uneasiness. There's no weirdness or any kind of, slimy.
Yeah, for sure.
That kind of under the table weirdness. And I'm just very straightforward. It's all about the pictures. It's always about the pictures. And that's one of the things that they really, really love. And when I show them the photographs that I'm taking of them, they're just like, oh my God, is that me? And seriously, that's what they say. You can ask her. She even said that to me. Almost every woman I photograph historically.
I actually have.
You have my new and
well, this is not the new. Is this the newest one?
Well, no, that's September.
Oh, that's September. But there's some Caramie in here.
There is some Caramie. She is my. Let's call her Miss December. I don't call them that normally, but she is my Miss December. And I created this magazine because Playboy, as you know, is gone. They stopped publishing, and they had gone kind of a different direction. And so a lot of people were reaching out and saying, David, you need to uphold that standard.
Absolutely.
You need to bring back what was Playboy, classic Playboy, because that's what I am. I'm classic Playboy, not the new stuff that they were doing before they ended, but the stuff where it's all about the beauty of the woman, beautiful light on the face and beautiful poses and sexy, but not over the top, but that kind of thing. And so, I started thinking about it, and I'm thinking, well, maybe. That is a big arm load to take.
Super
on.
fan right here.
I know, no, and what's amazing is when the girls end up being in the magazine, they become a fan because they know what it's all about. It's like it's bringing classic Playboy back and I'm not trying to downplay Playboy at all. And I'm not trying to take away anything from Playboy or try to become Playboy.
But they're not here anymore.
But they're not here anymore. And I'm doing what I did my entire career, photographing beautiful women, scantily clad is the best way to put it.
Yeah, wow. So this is probably the perfect time to transition.
Okay.
Over to Caramie here. So, when did you meet David, and what was your aspiration to photograph with him? And I've had other people on and talked about, did you always think that you wanted to be in Playboy? Did you always want to do that? And a lot of the answers is, well, yes, almost every girl probably has aspirations to be a playmate. But yeah, tell the story about how you guys met. And
Okay, great. So I'm from Texas as well, from Midland, and he's from Longview.
Is that pretty close?
No, it's
it's a big state.
Yeah, big state, but he's not as far as east as you can be, but he's East Texas, and I'm as far as West Texas can be. So it's funny because East and West finally get a photo shoot going. But I had heard about David about 8 years ago through some friends, and I was supposed to go to the photo shoot and never ended up making it, but always was a fan of his photography. And then when I had reached out to him through Instagram, he's like, "Oh, you gotta wait, but I'm going to be creating this project. And I was like, okay, I'll wait. And then finally he's like, okay, it's here. And then what do you think? And I was like, wow, like, I'm so happy you're moving forward, because to me, his photography is always classy. And
it's incredible.
yeah. And, you know, the girls like he picks are always classy. You know, he has a certain standard, and with that, like, he is seriously excellent on his photography. And the one thing that stands out for me is the lighting. And so when he said, hey, would you like to be a part of the magazine? I said, okay, well, like, what does it insist? And he's like, well, look at the magazine and, you know, let me know. And so I looked through it and I was like, wow, okay, well, you know, there is some nudity. And I had never thought about doing that, and nor had I ever even wanted to be a playmate. I do have some really good girlfriends that are officially playmates, not like cyber girls or wannabe or even, you know, pick the logo or whatever. They're like, you know, they're official playmates.
Nice.
So, and then just, you know, getting in touch with David, and then also knowing he's from Texas. So I flew out, and the one thing he does, and I've shot with several photographers, but the one thing he does is he makes you feel comfortable. And with that being said, it's, you know, he makes sure that you, like, he creates this story in his head, and then he has this final product that he has already envisioned.
Mm-hmm.
And then with that, he gets all the lighting done, and he already has, you know, in his mind, he already has like exactly the outfit and the position, and he assesses by your body type, your looks, your features. And then with that, he is able to highlight your hair, your face. And then people are like, how does he do this? You know, so, and you as a photographer, Brian.
Yeah, no,
It's fascinating.
I mean, the one thing about photographers is we all strive to be the best of what we want to be, and we have our own visions. But after talking to David, and you know, I felt like we've always kind of been kind of the same mentality. Obviously, David's, you know, light years ahead of me on a lot of things, but the same thing, like, you know, you want to try to find the right model for your vision, the location, outfit, hair and makeup, and you want the model to trust you, that you're going to you're gonna put them in the best circumstance or the best situation for the photos to come out right. Because a lot of times you get those know-it-all girls, and they're like, no, I don't like this. This is not my side, or no, don't do that. And I always have to do this. I have to pull my arm up over here so I can stretch out the side. You know, like, and it's like, don't worry about any of that, because I'm not even shooting at it anyways.
Right.
And you kind of go back and forth. But the ones that are just like, hey, you're a great photographer. Just, I want to see your vision.
Right.
And then after and I'm sure, David, you know, like, after you've worked with a talent for maybe 2 or 3 times, and then they come to you and say, I have an idea. And you're like, okay, let's do it. Let's try it out. And no, I actually pulled up the magazine here because, I mean, literally, you know, that black and white set is.
Well, that was part of it. Is
really?
I had this idea, and
I mean, just, I don't know if you can see this, but like, literally, I mean, there's many more photos, but like this black and white is just incredibly lit. I mean, just a beautiful overall everything.
Yeah, and I had wanted black and whites, and so I was like, "Hey, do you mind if we do a black and white photo shoot?"
and I love to collaborate with the models when they have an idea. Let's see what we can do. Let's see how we can make that work. And that's another thing about the models that like about me. They'll offer an idea, and I go, "Yeah, where can we go with that?" And
yeah.
Like, really? I mean, you know, they're just like, they're kind of surprised, because a lot of photographers, as you know, they have their own thing, and they go, no, I want to do it this way. And no, I mean, I accept the challenge.
100, you have to. I mean, to be creative, it can't all be you. And don't get me wrong, like, there's been situations where I got hired by a client to shoot something specific.
Sure.
And then you get the model's like, no, I want to do it this way. And it's like, all right, I know you want to do it this way, and we could do that at a later time possibly, but I've got to shoot it this way. But no, I mean, you know, I think the number one thing with photography is 1, the collaboration, 2, the trust.
Yes.
Trust is everything.
And it's not even trust whether or not you're going to be a creeper or not. It's a trust of like, is he going to capture me the way when he directs me and says, arch, 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 or, to stretch out your torso, or to, like I always had like a whole thing that I would do with the models. I would say, hey, arching, that, doesn't just mean like, just sticking out your butt. It's also taking your pelvic and thrusting it in, because you get that really nice curvy and it stretches out, your abs like really good, especially if you have them. And I used to demo it a lot. For the,
I bet that was nice. That was fun.
You have the pelvic thrust going.
no, you dip it in,
right?
All right, and then that naturally pumps out your butt, but it does really elongate the stomach area, and because if you're just pushing out the out the butt, sometimes you kind of pooch up the front unless that, and then also, when you're trying to get a girl comfortable to give you like sexy eyes, and you're like, give me the, like that look, and it's like, a lot of them want to like pucker up. Like, no, not like duck lips, not that. No, I actually blow the air out. Don't blow the air in. And then there was a very popular commercial, the Dentine Ice commercial. And I don't know if you remember it, but the girl's on the subway, and the girl and the guy make a connection. And the guy gets off the subway, and she like blows, like it looks like crystal, like ice crystals, and she puts her phone number in the.
Oh yeah.
You remember that one? And that was popular around the time that I was shooting. So I literally was like, that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for that relaxed face, nothing forced. And a lot of times I just have to talk to them and then be able to try to capture it when I'm like, okay, stop, because I shot digital mostly. And, I would say, come here, look on the screen. That's what I want. That's what I'm trying to capture.
Yeah. But I didn't have that luxury when I started.
Well, you shouldn't film.
I started off shooting film.
Please be good, especially probably your first couple shoots when you've probably got
when I first started shooting. I was shooting film in no Polaroid. I mean, I didn't know what a Polaroid was.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I was using just a meter.
Test?
No test. I used a light meter, and I looked at how the light was falling. And in some cases, I was using speed lights. I didn't even know how. I literally looked and placed the lights where I felt the light would go across the face in a correct manner. And I created my own light boxes and things out of boxes and Kleenex and stuff. Seriously.
Wow.
I made all this stuff when I was starting out, and weirdly they worked. As strange as it sounds. And so literally I was shooting positive film. I started shooting Kodachrome when I started reading about what Playboy shot with. They said they shot with Kodachrome, and I'm like, what's Kodachrome? And I bought some, and it was so difficult to use. And if you've shot it, it is a freaking bear.
Yeah, I was definitely on the cusp of learning film, and then digital was right around the same time. But yeah, I mean, because I remember how I got into photography was, to kind of sum it up in like hopefully 30 seconds or less, is I was working with a bunch of talents, and basically we hired a photographer to come shoot, and he was shooting film, and he was just taking forever. And we had 4 or 5 models there, and they were getting really impatient. They're already in hair and makeup.
Right.
And so one of them goes over to the photographer and goes, hey, I see that you use a digital to test. Can we borrow that and go over and kind of get like warmed up? So like literally I swapped out a memory card, and this is when the memory cards were probably like 256 MB. Yeah, and you can maybe get about 40 photos, and you got to swap it out, put another photo in. And went over and shot, the other 3 girls waiting, and then kind of upload to my computer and left them there. So waited for the photography to come back, and we're going through all the photos, film or actual photo. And the girl's like, oh, I like that one. Oh, well, that one's okay. They definitely liked, quite a few of them. And then the one girl goes, wait a minute, what about the ones you shot? And I go, oh, no, we're not pulling those up. And this is back in 2000, 99, 2000. And it took forever to open up the folder. All right. And then to process one photo, because they're like, I think they're probably 2 or 3 megs. Now it's like, it's open.
So quick.
Back then it had to be, It was a good probably 15, 20 seconds.
To open one picture?
To open one, yeah. And that first photo that popped up, the girl was like, "Oh my God, I love it." And I was like, and we went through all of them eventually. And they're like, "I don't like his, I like yours." And that's when I realized I had the eye. And so actually I went back to the gentleman who I actually kind of learned photography from a little bit, like learn more of the lighting, the grip light and the key lights and the hair lights and pretty much all that. And I said, "You need to teach me more." Because apparently I've got the eye. and so I showed him the photos and he was like, that's really good. That's what you can't teach. It's like an artist, right? Like I can't teach you how to draw.
Right.
Well, actually I can teach you how to draw, but I can't teach you how to be creative in your drawing.
Right.
So, but yeah, no, I mean, but I'm still like, I'm still kind of like googly-eyed over the fact that I get to sit and actually have a conversation with David. I mean, like literally in Miami back then, there was a
That's
few
when
other.
that's when we met.
That's where we met. Yep, and there was a few photographers, and I'm not going to name any names, but there was a few that were kind of repping that they were Playboy photographers, and but I got the opportunity to meet David, and I was like, wow, and then seeing some of the actual published work in Playboy, right? And I'm like, God, your lighting was. The lighting, it was incredible, and the fact of having that first interaction, he could have been an asshole and we wouldn't be sitting here right now, but he was such a great person. And
how many years ago was that?
Oh,
that was probably what was it, around 2001?
Yeah, it was like 2000. It was 2001, 2002 ish in that area.
Which was when I was on a Playboy TV show, by the way, Sexy Girls Next Door. I was one of the co-hosts of that.
Really?
Yeah, I was on the Playboy TV show for 3 years.
Yay!
The one on the Playboy channel?
Yeah, on the Playboy channel. I was.
Playboy.
No. I know,
but I was on there, and
well, this is like before the Girls Next Door.
It was previous to that, but I think it was kind of their forerunner to it in a way. But it was basically what they created this TV show to make it appear that this is how Playboy, this is how they did their Playmate tests, and so I would go in and I would literally. I had like 10 minutes to light a scene, and then I'd have to shoot it, and then they would come back and light it for video and recreate what I had done and making it appear that the video was what David was getting when he was shooting. And I was one of the co-hosts, and then at the end of the show, I'd photograph 3 girls, and at the end of the show, we'd pick the winner that was going to be sent over for Hef to see. So.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so that was a premiere. Scott Cope was the producer. He was also co-host, and there was a Playmate on there as well. But I did that for 3 years. I was, and then I got so busy freelancing in LA because I moved to LA in 1990. I worked out of the Chicago office in the 80s, and then I moved to LA. It's funny, really quick, when I first started thinking about trying to shoot for Playboy, which was the late 70s. I actually had a gentleman who I had entered a contest in there. They had I shot cars back in the day.
Uh-huh.
And so he invited me to come out and hang out with him and stay at his house and stuff here in California. And this was like 78-ish, 9-ish, something like that. And so I went out there and I brought my portfolio. So I go over to Sunset Boulevard, which is where the Playboy building was then, or the Playboy studio was then. And there was this guy loading a van, an assistant, and I find a park and I'm watching him and I get out and I walk over and I go, "Excuse me," and he goes, "Hey, what's up?" And he had long hair. He looked like he was in a rock band, and he was. His name was Joe Frank, and from Joe Frank Reynolds, that group.
Uh-huh.
You remember them? Yeah. So anyway, he was working as an assistant for Playboy. Well, he super nice guy, and we've been friends ever since. Anyway,
wow.
I show him some of my pictures, and he goes, "Man, these things are good. Let me go show these to Marilyn Grabowski, who was the West Coast editor, right-hand woman to Hef." And so he goes into the building. He's in there for like 20 minutes, and he comes back out and he goes, "Marilyn wants to know if you're living here now." And I'm like, "No, I live in Texas." And he goes, "She told me that if you move here, she'll start using you." And I'm like,
"Wow."
But I didn't have the balls to do it back then.
Really?
I didn't feel like I was ready yet, really. And I'm just like, "Really?" And he goes, and then also moving to LA was a huge deal.
Man, I would have literally, I'd have been like, where's the nearest U-Haul? Actually, I wouldn't even done that. I would have been like, I'm here now. I just moved here.
And then
I got an address.
What's weird is...
It worked for Playboy?
Yeah, but what's weird is it was only about a year later that I ended up in Chicago. Now, I'm wondering... And by the way, I started freelancing out of the Chicago office. I'm wondering if they spoke, because I ran into Arnie Freitag in Dallas, Texas once, just in a weird meeting. I mean, we just literally met. It was like random. And I looked at it. I had to look at his driver's license. I was working at a thing called Malibu Grand Prix. And so I looked at his driver's license and I said, Arnie Freitag, you work for Playboy? And he goes, yeah. And he goes, why? How do you know that? And I go, because I talked to Jeff Cohen a lot. And
I actually know Jeff. Yeah.
Yeah. And he goes, how do you know Jeff? He goes, what's your name? And I go, David Mecey. He goes, I've heard your name. Like that. I'm like, really? And I was just like, what? And he goes, yeah, they're talking about you. What? You're a photographer, right? Yeah. He goes, yeah. Well, blah blah blah.
Well, it just happened to be that Arnie. Give the audience like a backstory of who Arnie is.
Arnie is the photographer who has shot the most gatefolds, centerfolds. We called them gatefolds because they would swing out like a gate in the magazine. He is the man who has shot the most gatefolds for Playboy than any other photographer ever. Stephen Waita's second. Pompeo Posar, I think, is third. And I'm way down. I didn't shoot that many gatefolds. I mean, I shot like a dozen. Only 2 were published. But the percentage, because I was what was known, I was a kind of a yeoman guy. I was always sent out to do the multi-girl features. I did the college girl features, the women of Texas, women of Alaska, women of Florida, all those.
All the toughest
Wall Street. Yeah, women of Wall Street. I was on the road all the time. I was a road guy. That's what I did. And because of that, I learned how to light quickly. And what was interesting when I went to when I started going back and forth between Chicago and LA, and I actually got to meet Marilyn, when I went into her office, all across the top of her light table were my slides.
Wow.
And when she came in, I was looking at it, and she goes, admiring your work, and I went, no, those are my pictures. She goes, yeah, your poses are the best gatefold poses right now that I can. I'm using your poses all the time. My gatefold pose or centerfold pose a centerfold always has to be super skinny in its way it's done. The pose, the model has to have everything kind of compact while still looking relaxed and looking sexy. And something that she realizes what it's all about too. When we did her picture, it's
very uncomfortable for the model
at times. Although hers she was reclining, so it wasn't as bad. So
well, they always say the pose that hurts the most is the best pose.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what they say.
I can apply that to a lot of different industries and techniques.
Yeah.
But yes.
Yeah, but that's. I think that was somebody made that up to make it easier on the model or something, to make it think it was better.
Well, no, because I remember I did a photo shoot in the Bahamas, and it happened to be like February, March, and it was like 20 models came out, and it was and for the life of me, I cannot think. Maybe Teddy can pull it up. But the most lavish property in the Bahamas is the Nassau.
Oh, Atlantis.
No, the private residence.
Oh.
Nagiri. God, what the hell is it?
Oh, whoa, no. Oh, you're talking about the Canadian
fashion
dude?
Yeah, the fashion. No, he was a fashion icon, and he owned this
Nygaard.
Yes,
I've shot at his place.
Oh, you shot it?
Yeah.
So
and have you seen the special about him now? He's been kind of Weinsteined out.
I mean, but back then,
back then nobody knew, and I didn't even know when I was there.
Yeah, we came in. We all stayed at Crystal Palace, which was like Atlantis or Crystal Palace.
Yeah.
And we busted in and out. But he was there like during all the shoots. It was like me and like 2 other photographers. And I got to that they had like the Mayan temple ruins area.
That place, unbelievable.
I mean, literally a photographer's
playground
dream.
Yeah,
and
it looked like a freaking Indiana Jones set. That's what it looked like to me.
I mean, it looked like paradise. I mean, look, everything. I was trying to do photo shoots in the bathrooms because those bathrooms were like it was like all in rock, and even like the main bedroom, the one that opened, it was like 300-degree. I don't know if you remember that room, and the blinds open all the way, and you have like you're just
The
looking
vista
out, and you're
yeah.
like, I could just live here forever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you see the dragon?
Where's the dragon?
There's like this cave thing, and he had like a dragon made in there where it would blow steam out during parties.
Wow.
You're talking about kind of like the I would say it was like a grotto. What was it?
I know.
Yeah,
It's like
kinda,
a cavey thing.
yeah, cavey thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
My most favorite photo from that shoot. I can say that now because I never ever wanted to be like, you're my favorite, because then she would run off and tell the other girls
Right.
oh yeah. But my favorite photo that I captured was in that like grotto lagoony area, and honestly, I thought the lighting was going to be shit. It ended up I hit it perfectly. I got the water perfect. I got the model perfect, and you know, and she wasn't even like, if I had to line up all 20 girls, she would probably be in the middle.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? And as far as like what I thought I could capture, because I never looked at the girls and said, like, what I like personally in life has never been what I thought I can photograph the best. If that makes any sense.
No, it does.
I can look at somebody and be like, I can photograph you and crush it. And I can look at you and be like, you know, you're gonna be difficult because maybe you have a rounder face, or there's just something about you. But yeah, I end up just nailing that shot.
One of my most favorite pictures I ever did for Playboy is in this issue.
Which one?
In the very back.
Very back.
It's called A Loving Look Back. In each issue, I do a story about something in my life that was significant. That picture.
This one.
That picture is one of my most favorite. It took a week.
I don't know
of
if you
planning.
can get a good close up on that.
It took a week of planning.
All right.
That mountain in the background is Mount McKinley.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
It's like
That's
what, the third.
Alaska?
That's in Alaska.
Is
That's
it the second?
second tallest, I think, or maybe it's the tallest in North America. I think it might be the tallest in North America.
Wow.
I mean, it's up there. But what's interesting is when we shot that, during the day when we were setting up for it, it was 10 below zero. By the time we got to that, when the sun had gone down, it was closing in on 20 below. And my Polaroid froze. My film, I only got off about 16 to 18 frames of Kodachrome, and then my camera stopped. It froze. I think I had, out of the 16 or 18 frames, about 10 to 12 were publishable.
Did she freeze?
One of the things that's inside that tent is a 50,000 BTU space heater blowing directly on her. That's the only way she. Plus the fact that young lady.
What was the lighting? What was the lighting situation?
Speed lights.
No.
3 or 4. No, I think we used 4 speed lights. 2 hung up in the.
I'm trying to. Yeah.
And then there was one laying literally in the sleeping bag down behind her that gave separation light to it. And I had one of the first remote sinks ever made. I think it was called a Hawk. Sink. It was one of the first ones that were battery powered, and you could, sync with your strobes from 150 feet or 300 feet, whatever it was. And I was praying that it worked, and it did. That cost Playboy, and this was back in the days when there was no big deal. Whatever it cost, do it. That cost Playboy, because I used 2 ski planes and 4 snowmobiles to get that done. I had 4 guys, mountain climbers, who helped set that tent up and get it all done. We spent the whole day there. We had to walk around in snowshoes because the snow was so deep. We'd sink up to our crotch in the snow, and we had to walk around in snowshoes the whole day. And then when I started to shoot it, I put my tripod and it sank into the snow, so I had to put my tripod on 3 snowshoes. And so,
wow.
Yeah, and then we shot that, and because it was such an ordeal to do, but it was my concept. I wanted to show Mount McKinley in the background. She was, when she graduated from college, she lived by herself in a cabin for a year in Alaska by herself, hunted, fished, everything, all on her own.
Survivor.
She was a survivor.
Like literally.
Yeah, and she looked great. She also was quite attractive. So she was my choice for that. And we flew out there by ski plane, and I used one of them in the background, and he gave me a little break on the price on the planes.
So what year was that, David?
That was about 1986.
Oh, wow. So I was barely like 3 years old.
Oh my God, great. That's all I need to hear. So so anyway, shot on Kodachrome 64, PKR, Kodachrome 64. And yeah, I mean, and I did not know that I had that picture. And it cost about $5,000 to produce, which in today's money is around 18 grand.
Wow.
For one picture. And I didn't even know I had got the picture.
And it got published, of course.
Oh yeah, and in German Playboy ran it double page spread, 11 by 17.
Well, you know those Germans.
Yeah, those Germans, man, they liked it. So so I was able to snag one of the slides because I mean, and that's the one that I write the story about how it was done And I do that now in each of my issues of MECEY.
Yeah.
I will write at the back of the book some story about my history in photography or with Playboy or what I'm doing currently, whatever that works as a way to give people more insight into who I am and what I've done and that sort of thing. Because a lot of guys, when I do workshops and stuff, guys just want to hear my stories. It's really weird. Not weird, but I mean they're just interested in what I've accomplished and how I did it.
Oh,
And I'm doing how I do my photo shoots, by the way. I do how I did it in the magazine.
Your recipe.
Yeah, my recipe. Yeah,
secret sauce.
my secret. Yeah, that's something like Mece. What is it called? Mecey's morsels. Another guy called
Mece's morsels.
That's another friend of mine called that. That's my little secrets and stuff.
I'm about to. You can continue talking.
Well, when we did that, by the way, that was Caramie's idea, and she had the wardrobe and everything, and she throws the dress on, and I'm like, oh yeah, that looks awesome.
Yeah.
And so, and you brought the what was it?
So it's these fans, and like they're silk, but I only had a certain.
You're talking about these ones?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. And so I had to figure out how to light her and the backlight those puppies so that they would show up.
Well, and to swing it and to capture it, like
yeah, she was wanting to
it's
swing 'em.
teamwork when you do a photo shoot. It really is teamwork.
And by the way, we are definitely going to have to put some links in the comments on this episode to Mece Magazine.
Oh yes, please.
Yeah,
yes.
I mean yeah.
And if you go to www.MECE Magazine, no Y, just MECEmagazine.com, you'll get to the website.
Yeah, no, incredible. I mean,
and the current, I think on my website, Mariah will come up on it, her cover and everything. Mariah's on the cover. And
yeah, and Mariah, we had her on in a previous episode, and
one of the Grand Junction girls. That's so funny.
The hot Grand Junction.
The hot
Grand Junction. And by the way, we didn't really get into that, but what is like Grand Junction hot mean? Like, so if somebody goes to you and says, Caramie, you're LA hot, does that mean that you're like, is that a compliment?
Well, LA's hard. You know, beauty is definitely there in LA.
Yeah.
I think beauty exists anywhere.
True, but like,
but I think it's Grand Junction because I had talked and spoke with Mariah, and it's such a small city. It's 4 hours north of Denver, and it's just a small town. So, you know, people just don't expect like, you know, this hot girl that's now in Vegas co-producing her show, and then
one of the hottest shows.
Yeah, one of the hottest, longest
topless shows.
Yeah, topless
oh,
fantasy.
Yeah. Don't leave that out. I mean,
yeah.
Oh no, we can't. I mean,
and if you haven't seen it yet, folks, you need to go see it. I've seen it 4 times.
Yeah, it is excellent. Like I was so impressed, and all the girls are just, you know, it's their dream, it's their passion. You have to have that.
Absolutely. So you're from Midland, right?
Yes.
Midland. So someone called you Midland hot.
I would be honored.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, you know what? Everybody from Texas, they do it better in Texas. I'm sure they're all. I'm sure they're.
We're Texas through and through.
I think what it means, or my take is like Midland hot, Grand Junction hot. It's more about like you wouldn't expect this beauty, like this beauty or this beautiful person from there, and then ends up in this magazine or this fantasy like topless show, or you're like, wow. Like,
no, yeah, for sure. I mean, because I was even talking to her about like Playboy. I go, when did you want to be a Playboy model? She's like, ever since I wanted to be a model. And so like I went over to Irina and I was like, you know, did you ever have aspirations the same way? And, you know, she kind of like, I don't want to say skirted the question, but I think a lot of girls that get into modeling, they definitely like that.
Somewhere in the back of their mind.
Cream of the crop. I mean, if Hugh himself came down and said, you're going to be Miss December, you're not going to be like, no.
You're like,
you're like,
noted, okay.
So how many parties I have to go to, and
What does this insist of? And how many of those Sunday fun day parties with the pool? And
yeah, I just need to know, like, how many do I need to go to the doctor before or after? I'm kidding.
yeah, what's my beauty allowance?
Exactly. Yeah. So since we're talking about now getting into all that, how many times have you been to the mansion?
Well, I went to New Year's Eve, 1999 to 2000, to the party.
Oh, for the big one.
Yeah, for the big party. I was there. Yeah.
Wow.
And then a few other times, maybe 6-7 times, maybe. I wasn't there that much.
Yeah, because I mean, there's really no purpose.
There's no purpose to be there other than if I'm working.
Yeah.
And then, I was there for Playmate of the Year. I found a Playmate of the Year. But speaking of that, in my career, during my time at Playboy, I found 23 Playmates of the month and a Playmate of the Year.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
I was a proficient dude, man. I was out there because I was traveling all the time. I was meeting women left and right, everywhere.
Yeah. Hey, my name is David Mecey, and I can make your dream happen.
Here's my card. No, and literally,
thank God you're a great dude, because like, and the same thing with me. Like I never took advantage of the situation.
Exactly, and me neither. I mean, it was like if I saw,
I let the situations flow.
Yeah. If I saw,
but I never
like
said, "Hey, I'm gonna. If you do this, I'm gonna do this."
Right.
And I can see that you could have exploited
the hell out of it.
The hell out of it.
Yes. And there are guys that aren't really Playboy photographers that do that. And one of the things that happened to me,
100%.
Yeah, one of the things that happened to me throughout my career at Playboy, which is kind of a strange thing, there was a couple of different guys pretending to be me. And when I would travel around the country doing these pictorials, they would literally follow me. And they would go to clubs. Now, this is before social media. This is before you could
verify. Yeah.
You could verify or anything. And they would go to a night, or they'd call a nightclub and say, "Hey, I'm David Mecey. I'm in town doing these interviews for this," because they knew what I was doing. Because I would do interviews on TV for news channels in the town. I was on the radio a lot, and so because of that, they'd hear I was there, and then they'd call up a club. "Oh, this is David Mecey with Playboy," and they go, "Oh yeah, you're in town. Oh yeah, do you think I could drop by and get a table or something?" "Oh, absolutely. Come by. Just tell the door guy, blah, blah, blah." They'd show up. They'd have fake cards. They'd show up. They'd put them on a table. They'd give them champagne. They'd send girls over there.
Of course.
And then he'd end up, hanging out with a few of them, whatever.
Well, yeah,
taking advantage of his bullshit. Can I say bullshit?
Yeah, hell yeah, you can say bullshit.
Take advantage of his.
One of David's nicknames.
There we go. There we go.
Hey,
we finally got
a word out of him. The bullshit word.
Yeah, I got. Okay. He was. Yeah.
Yeah, one of his nicknames is Precious, I've heard.
Precious?
Yeah.
God.
Oh, do tell the backstory.
Oh my God. Because I act so kind of quirky and funny when I'm around women. I'm just their friend.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Literally. I am just, and I hang out with them. I don't want to say I'm like one of the other girls. That's not me. But
no.
But I mean, I'm just really there and enjoying everything, to the point to where they will start talking about girl stuff. And if you've ever heard girl stuff,
of course I've heard girl stuff.
Girl stuff. That stuff gets really strange. And I mean, I'm serious. And I'm just like, and I'm driving, and they'll be in the car talking, and I'm like, "Ladies, I'm here." And they're like, "What?" I go, "I'm a guy. I'm sitting here hearing all this." "Oh, well, that's okay. You're precious." And that's how it started.
Wow.
And now it's starting to move around, and more are hearing about it. And I just, God, I don't.
Well, and he's so respectful for women. Like, probably one of the most respectful photographers I've ever met.
Yeah. No, and I've heard nothing but amazing things about him, even 20 years ago.
Yeah.
When I met him, I mean, I mean, the whole thing is that, you got to be able to not only if you're going to be doing a nude shoot,
right,
you got to get them naked, B, they got to feel comfortable so they can look sexy.
Right.
Because a woman, I mean, once you, at least my experience is whenever I've got like, I didn't do too many fully nude shoots, only when it was like, requested or paid for. But like literally, there has to be chemistry there. I mean, like literally, I would have my camera and I would say the lens here, right? Two things. One, pretend like if you're going to put like put your chin on the bottom of my lens, but I need you to eye fuck the shit out of my camera. All right. And I need you to literally molest it with your eyes, my camera. And when the camera's up, you're acting. And when the camera's down, relax. But like literally, and it always worked. And, even like, it's funny because me and David recently realized that I actually discovered a model out in out in Miami.
Anya.
Anya, yeah. And I would say like I discovered her, but like I definitely started getting some of her first bigger jobs, and then actually got her out to LA, and then she got to meet a whole bunch of people out there, and eventually got to meet you and work with you. But I would always tell the models that the best model is the best actress, because you got to go in and you got to get in that role, and especially if on a day-to-day basis you're not Mariah, that like gets topless every day for her shoot. How often do you get naked? For
a photographer, very rarely. For myself, all the time.
but in front of people, totally. yeah. But
not in front of people, yeah. She's not out there walking around.
Speaking of, so when I first met David, no, this is a funny question. I go, David, like, I'm just curious. So.
Oh God, she's gonna say this.
I go, how many like boobs have you seen? Just curious. And Mr. Precious over here, he's like, well. So how many? Like, let's share it.
Okay, I literally sat one day because I get asked this a lot. How many women?
Well,
have
I
you seen
was curious,
that? And so I sat down, and because I did all these multi-girl shoots, I also did tons of interviews for anniversary searches. Remember when Playboy would send us out all around the country, and we'd be seeing thousands of women on a tour. And I gauged that I saw probably 25,000 women, probably 50,000 boobs.
Wow.
Because there's 2 boobs per woman. That was good. I liked it. That was a good one.
Yeah, no, for sure.
That's a lot of boobs.
That's a lot of boobs.
It's a lot of boobs.
But at the same time, out of that 25,000, and it's sadly there's a lot of not good ones in there.
Well, and that's what I asked him. I was like,
how many of them are actually good? Yeah,
I think my boobs are pretty good.
Oh, they're
see.
very
Hold on a second.
They're very good.
Everybody, we're gonna have to.
And then in December you'll see like the
full boobs.
Full boobs.
So they're not covered up boobs?
Oh gosh, no.
No, they're way
they're
out
quite
there.
nice.
Okay, listen.
Oh, looky there.
This. Exactly. Wow.
They're there.
They're there.
And the one thing I tell David, I go, I'm more of a smiley girl, but he likes me in the serious look. So there are some of those there. But
but there's smiley ones in there.
I love my smiley girl pictures.
Yeah, but you know what? I mean, sophisticated, like that sophisticated, sexy look, I think you have it.
And that's exactly how I photographed her. When you were speaking earlier about how I'm photographing the women, I try to do a story. And like the September issue is Sam on the cover, and on the inside, her layout is based on the Mad Max movies that I saw back in the 80s, with Mel Gibson. And then then Mariah, her feature is based on Phantom of the Opera, except I made her the Phantom of Dance because that's what she does.
Yeah.
And so I shot her in the theater kind of look. And for Caramie, being sophisticated, I photographed her in a more sophisticated place and a way you would see her. And so...
And then Irina.
And then Irina, I just photographed Irina leaving Las Vegas, but I did it in such a way that it was kind of a throwback to 50s, 60s, 70s look. A 60s, 70s look with a little scarf in the hair.
Oh, like rockabilly.
A little bit of that.
Yeah, rockabilly, the 50s rocker.
Yeah, that kind of thing.
And they literally just shot that this weekend, past weekend.
Yeah, we literally just shot her nudes yesterday out on a road just outside Vegas with a ton of cars going by. Yeah. It was difficult because
honk,
no. She always covered. I had an assistant, and he'd go, car coming, and so she'd cover and sitting there, but they'd always slow down and just look. And this one guy was so funny. He was older gentleman, I'll put it, more mature. He goes by, he slows down, and he turns all the way in and he's not even looking where he's going, and he's just driving down the road, looking back out his window.
Man, it would have been great if all of a sudden
crash.
No, it wouldn't have been great.
No, it wouldn't have been great.
But you know, so I'm looking at these photos and like I'm like trying to turn on like my photography mind. Like you, I would suggest to do a shoot with you. Get one of those kiddie pools, right? On outside, kind of like a white picket fence, really nice green grass around, and fill it with Skittles. And having you throw up Skittles in the air and like laughing, smiling, being goofy, popping in your mouth, trying to throw it up and catch it.
Like playing like a little, like
just
child.
playing, but in the pool of Skittles.
I
With a
love
ring
that
light.
idea.
Because what?
With the ring light.
Oh yeah, of course,
with a ring light.
yeah.
That would be perfect for that.
Yeah,
It
I
would
mean,
be
just
poppy.
you know, because that's the one thing that like vision, like I can look at a girl and be like, "Yep, you're going to be great like this," and then from there it just evolves. You know, like I remember we did me and a really good friend of mine, Mike Tamsel. I don't know if you know that name, Tams Designs. I had a model that I found. I got introduced to me, and we went over to his house, and literally we're going over there for dinner. And as soon as we walk in, he like looked right at Greta and goes, "Hold on." He's like, "I'll be right back." He literally goes out to his garage. Now think about this. Like Mike is a very over the top, very. If you don't not know Mike's personality, you might think that he's offensive and he's rude, but really it's just his personality, how he talks. He comes back in with police caution tape and his camera, and he basically said, "Do you mind if I can? Do you mind if you just like what are you wearing underneath your pants?" And she happened to be wearing like a full what do you call those, like stockings, but the full one.
Pantyhose.
Yeah, pantyhose. Yeah, full pantyhose.
Okay.
And so, I
like,
mean, we literally
Yeah,
we walked in, and not even in 2 minutes, she hadn't even really said hi to the guy, and we did a whole photo shoot of her looking dead, and so he like got her topless, just in the pantyhose, and she's like laying on the staircase, like down, and the way her makeup, because we were coming from a shoot, she had really dark makeup. And her hair was kind of slicked back. She kind of had like this short blonde hair look. I'll have to show you the photos.
Okay.
And he crushes this photo shoot, crushes it. I wish I had him here. You know what? I'm going to put him in the comments. I'm going to put some of the photos.
Okay.
But that's the type of visionary. Like that's how I learned from him. I learned from like watching some of your stuff, and from there was Andy McFarlane. In Florida, and he super vibrant, high contrast photo shoots. I mean, you knew that was an Andy McFarlane photo, and but those were the type of things I was trying to strive to do. But yeah, Skittles
and a little kids pool.
And
I
little
love
kids
it.
pool.
We'll have
yeah.
to create that, David.
Yeah.
With a bikini or nude.
Actually, it could be either.
You could.
Yeah.
You can progress into it.
I think a bright colored bikini would go really cute.
No,
Like,
yeah,
or even like a cherry
neon.
one.
Oh.
Cherry.
Yeah, no, that might be good too, but I'm thinking like vibrant, like just extremely high contrast colors.
Yeah, they have to be a ring light.
Yeah, and you can almost even shoot on a green screen and just like literally pop in the background into it to control the lighting even better. But I mean, but like nowadays you could do that and it doesn't cost you an arm and a leg. Before, that would cost. A studio green screen production would be just crazy. But yeah, wow. I mean, I feel like I can talk to you guys forever.
Ever.
But we're definitely getting to kind of the end of the segment here. I mean, like literally, I can't even.
Well, you know, Brian, we did have our 6-month gala recently.
That's right. You guys did for the magazine.
And you weren't able to come, and we were kind of bummed.
It's okay. He'll be there at the 1 year.
I got to get the 1-year date logged in my calendar now, so nothing is booked on it.
Probably April the 1st. It is a Saturday.
That's when he launched his magazine.
I launched it on April the 1st, by the way.
Really?
And the way I launched it was when I wrote it up on Facebook and posted, I said, "This is no April Fool's joke. I'm really launching a magazine."
Wow.
That's exactly how I did it. So it probably will be
felt like
on
I
April
saw that.
1st.
Yeah.
It will be on April 1st. I think we'll try to make that happen.
Oh,
I'd like to. Yeah. I mean, the gala this time was really a lot of fun, and it went off really well. We had a nice turnout of people. Once people see the magazine, they're blown away. I mean, that's what I've been getting, reaction from my readers. Not only do they love the pictorials, like what was with Playboy, but they really like what I put in as far as content for articles.
Absolutely.
And so that makes it a very full men's lifestyle magazine. I mean, it's really, it's got beautiful pictures of beautiful models while also really cool, interesting stories. We had the Knights Templar, a story about that in our issue. We have a story about the Pikes Peak Hill Climb, automobiles. I'm big into cars, love Porsches. In fact, plug. Yeah. Well, I've owned a couple of them, and so Porsche, I think, knows that. They actually sent me to Finland to drive GT3s on ice tracks.
Okay, that's a whole nother episode. I can go down. I can go down there, and I gotta bring in other people that I know that would just be like, like they would be in heaven.
Praising, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's another side of me, by the way, is my driving. I raced and all that kind of stuff. So, and that was another reason a lot of my friends thought I should do a magazine, because David, you're doing everything men want to do, and
not even that. But there's no advertising in here, which is it really goes back to the fact this is a true publication of what you're trying to do. I think I eventually I know that you will.
We're going to try to do that.
Do some advertising, but I know, like right now, if you go to Mece Magazine .com and you can subscribe, you can either do the single issue, or you could do the full year.
Yeah.
And you might as well do the full year, because you know you're going to get hooked on the first one.
That's interesting you say that. I've had several friends write me and go, I bought your issue. Now I'm going to buy this. I'm going to do a subscription.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Thankfully, and I'm also hearing every issue is getting better, which is awesome. So by the time we get to December, it's going to be amazing.
Well, and the one feedback that I heard from the gala is, like Brian holding the physical, people are also wanting some physical prints of it. So
we're working on trying to make it an option to where maybe we can print a few issues to go along with the digital version.
Or maybe you got to come to the galas, or you got to come to the events to get the physical issue. Because another thing too is that, like, I think that with, print, everybody says print's dead. I don't think print's dead.
I don't either.
But I also think that if you're trying to force just a print publication down people's throats, it's never going to work.
Right.
So I think, with this, I personally think that we should do a monthly, or not you should do a monthly release every month, and have just a little get-together mixer where you have a bunch of copies, and you literally get, the different press that come out, the different, influencers, different people. Because, again, if you do it on a monthly basis, you can actually grab up different people that maybe couldn't made it the previous month, like yours truly.
Okay.
I had to, be in Mexico for some business stuff.
Mexico business is always good.
It is. Hey, I got to go tour all the tequila farms.
Hey, that's business.
I got to. It actually was business. Turned into a little fun, but definitely business. But yeah, no. I mean, not now that we're kind of wrapping up the segment here. Do you guys have any final comments, concerns? I mean, like I said, I can talk to both of you guys forever.
Yeah, and we're also doing, we're kind of testing some merchandise for some T-shirts.
Oh, really?
Stay tuned for that. That's.
Can I get "Carry Me" on my chest?
Well, that's kind of it.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I would totally rock you.
Okay, then I'm definitely going to give you a sample.
We're actually meeting with someone this afternoon, right?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Because part of it is, like, guys, when they see like a girl that's showing her boobs or they're like the cleavage is out, they always look there, right? It's like, come on, look up here. Like, please look at my face. Don't look here. So that's kind of leading into what the T-shirt is don't look here.
Gotcha.
Get it?
Yeah. Okay. I can definitely see the vision for sure.
Yeah, it's fun. It's exciting.
And speaking just a little bit on the advertising thing, we had a couple of gentlemen from a vodka company drop by the gala.
Really?
And it was through a friend of mine who called them up and said, hey, you need to go see David's magazine.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, really? And they come. And I didn't know about it, but it's I'm going to mention their name. It's called Blue Ice.
Okay.
And they're out of Idaho. And I had a gentleman there visiting. One of the readers flew down from Indianapolis who's a sommelier. And he usually drinks wine. And he drank some of the Blue Ice. And he came up to me and goes, David, where did you get this? And I told him it was possible. It was a sponsor in a way. And he said, this is the best vodka I've ever drank. And I'm like, really? And then as the gentlemen were leaving, they actually caught me, pulled me aside and said, listen, we love your magazine. I think we would like to talk to you about advertising. I'm like, yeah, I have a back cover that's available.
No, 100%. But see, here's the thing where I think that now we'll quickly go into a marketing segment.
Okay.
I personally think that you need to leverage you. And you basically, you go to Blue Ice and you say, not only will I give you the back cover for X, Y, Z, I'll shoot it.
Oh, yeah, I'd love that.
But
yeah.
But the thing is, I think where a lot of people make mistakes in the marketing play is that they forget about themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
he's infamous,
Yeah,
iconic.
but this is where you need to step in and say, no. You need to be the one doing this, because to me, I think that would number one, help everything. It controls how you're going to want the ad segment is going to be anyways.
Right.
And, you could do it like a traditional where it's like, Blue Ice, whatever their slogan is, with maybe like, a lake in the background. It could be with a girl like laying on a beach or on a, by a pool, or I'm not even sure what their
sit
branding
down with
is.
them and go over, what they.
Well, we did a David Darling drink with the Blue Ice vodka for the gala.
David
Darling drink. It was so cute.
How many did you drink?
Oh, I don't drink.
Okay, so how many would you have drank if you drank?
Well, I heard it was great. It had blueberries, it had some muddled raspberries. So that to me is like refreshing. So I probably would have had two. Just two.
Just two.
And they make what was the one that they make that's a flavor?
It's a huckleberry. Oh yeah, the huckleberry one.
They make one that's huckleberry, and of course, being a fan of Tombstone. The movie Tombstone with Val Kilmer.
I'll be your huckleberry.
It's the first thing that I said.
Yeah.
That's their line.
And
Really?
they use it, yes.
Yes.
And the owner created the huckleberry vodka because he saw the movie and loved that and integrated it in. And now it's one of their biggest sellers. It's supposed to be amazing. And that was the drink the sommelier was drinking, was the straight huckleberry.
Wow.
Yeah.
We're all connected.
It's just bizarre how that works. And it was like, wow, okay, this is really cool. So yeah, I can't wait to meet with. It reminds me, I need to get in touch with them and get that meeting.
There you go. Yeah. I mean, the number one thing is the follow up. The follow up is what kills everybody.
Yeah.
Especially when you meet somebody, you meet like one thing I normally do, and I think I even did it with you when we first met, is hey, it was great to meet you. Like you got to put it back in their mind. Especially if you know that you're going to be developing, a relationship down the road, professional, you want them to like, oh yeah, Brian, I remember you. I wasn't sure that the next time I would see you, but now I know that I'm probably going to see a lot of you now, and I'm going to probably see a lot
more
in
December. Yeah. Well,
see, it's great when you turn right to the
And by the way, that's my favorite one on the right. That is my favorite picture.
where she's lifting her hair.
So David, one of his things when you do a photo shoot.
What do you think, Teddy?
It's fucking amazing.
I love it. I'm fucking amazing. But one thing that I do want to point out, that when David is capturing this certain look, like he just knows when your hair's out of line or when the curl's about to fall. Like he has it all timed out. I don't know how he does it, but he's just a master.
I call them famous hairs.
Yeah.
That one piece of hair that kind of is like pokes up or falls out or.
Well, this is he wants you to pull your hair up, like
Oh,
like
I'm always
kind of
work
dirty.
that hair. Work
Yeah.
that hair. Make it look as if
Like
you
pull
just
it up
crawled
and-
out of bed.
Yeah,
you know,
pull
that
it
kinda-
up and let the
Yeah, that's a
curls
nice way of saying it,
fall,
yeah.
and
yeah, no,
know,
for
just-
sure.
he-
It's just like the natural falls.
yeah, after you pull your hair up and kind of
Y-
get it
just
going.
Get,
Yeah.
get it all crazy. I tell, get your hair crazy, and then okay, stop, and then and then let it fall.
Yeah,
and
but
then,
telling a girl that you're photographing me and you want me to make my hair crazy
yeah.
is probably a crazy thing in their mind.
Yeah, we're like, what?
yeah,
But then I show them the picture, and like,
And you go,
oh my god,
I can't wait to do crazy hair.
all over again.
crazy
yeah,
hair. Yeah.
flip it, crazy.
And I'm known for that. Every model. In fact, when I was photographing Irina yesterday, and she goes, "Oh, you want me to do David hair?" That's exactly what she said when I
You call it David hair?
David hair, and because I've worked with Irina a number of times. She's been a workshop model for me and things like that. Photographed her for a catalog. But anyway, she goes, "Oh, you want David hair?" I'll go, "Yeah, give me David hair."
So he's known for that. Just
I mean, it's
watch his pictures, guys. When you have that messy hair going, that's David hair.
David hair. Yeah. I mean, it's just really funny. And what's amazing is it makes the picture sexier because it looks like
100%.
the girl's like all, wow, what was she doing to get that hair like that? There you go. So
Another secret sauce.
another Mece morsel.
Amazing morsel. We gotta think of something better.
Yeah, please.
Gotta think of something better.
I prefer David hair.
David hair.
No. But I'm talking about like the secret
Right,
sauces,
right.
right? So like, yeah, Mece morsel.
And then we have the David Darling drink. Now we have the David hair. So we got to think
David
of something.
hair. Oh my gosh. Don't call it Precious something though, please.
yes.
No, it's David hair.
Oh my
Ba-dum-bum.
gosh. I mean, literally, I can sit here all friggin' day, and I can tell you this won't be the last time that we're talking on.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, I'd love to come.
No. We got
this
to
is-
continue this.
Yeah, this magazine's going to be growing.
Oh no, absolutely, and I'm actually excited to, be helping you open up some doors of some of my connections.
That
And
would be awesome.
Yeah, thanks, Brian,
Yeah.
for all your support because I love how your business has helped as well.
oh no, for sure. I mean, and you're welcome. I mean, the team here, I can't even explain it. Like as soon as we sat down and started the segment, the first thing she told me was, "Your staff is so nice and friendly and professional," and like you can't really train that. I mean, you can find that with the talent before you hire them, but I know for a fact I have the best staff when it comes to marketing because I empowered them to be creative. I'm constantly challenging them. And I think that's what really makes them, create the very big, best work that that can come out of that. But yeah, I mean, I hate to do it, but I got to wrap this up. I've had lunch here for the past a while, but
Okay, I'll close with this. I hope all of the viewers out there watching this that you'll give Mece Magazine a try. That's all I ask. And I think if you do, you're going to really, really enjoy it. And getting back to getting back to the potential client, the advertisers, I just did the November centerfold shoot over this weekend.
mm-hmm.
So I wear about 6 different hats. I'm publisher, managing editor, director of photography, staff photographer, writer.
Yeah.
And so I'm a pretty busy guy now, and she knows this. I rarely get to bed before around 1:30, 2 o'clock at night now, and then I get up
wow.
at 7 to start the day because I'm always busy doing something. I have to you have to be on top of it.
Mm-hmm.
And when you start something like this, which is a monthly, now if I were doing quarterly, I could maybe hedge a little bit, but I'm doing a monthly pub. I mean, I have to close this November issue the 23rd of this month.
Mm-hmm.
So I have another couple of weeks and I'm done. Yeah, I'm toast. I got to get it done.
No, for sure. I mean, I've never been on the publishing side of things, but I can tell you that the deadlines. Now, getting ads into publications for clients,
Same.
absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah. Do you have any final final words, comments,
No, I'm
concerns?
just happy to be here, and stay tuned because I know we're going to try to put some more events together for people. Because
Mhm.
I know people loved the gala, and they're asking like where the next possible event or
I'm
meeting
making
will
her
be.
my event coordinator.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Well,
Yeah.
well then,
You and I are going to be doing it together.
yeah, BFFs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's gonna be because I mean she took care of that gala. She knows it. I was pulling my hair out every day. David, relax. And I'm just like,
Well, he knows it so well. He just has to show up and mingle, and then
Yeah. I
and
mean,
everyone's there to support, which was so beautiful. Like
that-
the turnout that came, it was great.
No, for sure. I mean, I wish I could have made it. But yeah, so I mean, I do got to end it there. And I do really, really, really appreciate you both coming on.
thank you.
David Mecey, Caramie.
Thank you.
I mean, and I hate to say goodbye from SKC Studios, and but we got to say goodbye, and thanks for everybody watching. Make sure you like and subscribe, all down over here and over here, and just subscribe, and then also make sure you check out the comments. We're going to be putting a lot of Mece Magazine stuff in there. A lot of stuff where you can see Caramie looking like this.
Looking quite
Looking
quite nice.
very sophisticated. We'll keep it professional. All right, until next time.